Welcome back to the What's Your One More podcast. Today, I am joined with a very special guest. As you know, we often have crypto traders on the show, but today, not only do we have someone that trades in crypto, we have someone that actually has written code on a platform. I'm very excited to talk to Mr. Eric McDonald, who is the CEO and Board Chairman of CoinLion, a cryptocurrency auto trading platform that makes it super simple for anyone to invest in crypto. This group has executed over 530,000 trades, and they're worth over $1 billion and have made investors over $4 million in profit. You know, many people are interested in investing in cryptocurrencies, but oftentimes they're just afraid to do it because they just don't really understand the complexity of it or the crypto market or where to even begin. By allowing users to sign up to their platform, it automatically trades cryptocurrencies for them 24/7, 365. CoinLion, unlike its competitors, offers a solution to this problem. The platform allows users to copy expert traders and their strategies with a click of a button. I am so excited to hear about this today. And before we get started into this, the thing that I learned earlier on here about Eric is that Eric has written codes for healthcare tech. And inside of such, he sold this out of the basement of his house for $1 billion in the last year. Now, when I hear that, I immediately gravitate towards it. Eric, welcome to the show today. I'm so excited for this one. I'm ready to hear more about your journey. And let's kick it off with the healthcare tech and the codes and everything you wrote for that led to this amazing success to where you are right now.
Well, thanks for having me on, Quentin. It's good to be here.
Great to have you.
Yeah, my prior life, I spent, 2 decades, which is kind of weird to say that time in one company. Originally, it was called OcuTap, and we ended up buying one of our largest competitors, rebranding it. It's now called Xperity Health.
Okay.
And so I started this company probably 2 years out of college, wrote all the original source code in my basement. And it was one of these things where, day one, you're like, oh, I'll have a company in 6 months. We're going to be, build this thing overnight. And, it took 22 years and ultimately sold it for $1.25 billion.
That's incredible. Congratulations. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. So you obviously you have a technical background at this point. Did that lead you to cryptocurrency?
Yeah.
That technical background, is that kind of what led you into this platform trade? What made you gravitate towards that?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I do have a technical background. Building my last company, though, spending 22 years building that, I ended up recognizing the importance of leadership and strategy. And so while I do have a deep technical background, it's married really well with executing on great ideas. And so when I first heard about CoinLion, so CoinLion was started by 3 individuals that I actually didn't know. And somebody introduced me, and I was kind of like, "Oh man, this crypto thing, that's just for the weirdos." But I'd never really dug into this thing. And so in 2019, my prior company, we bought our largest competitor, merged the two together.
Okay.
And that's when I stepped down as CEO. And so I'd been 19 years in, I still sat on the board of directors, but I stepped down as CEO, and I was looking for that next thing. And so came across, somebody introduced me to the CoinLion guys, and they were kind of fumbling around. They're like, "Hey, we want to be this exchange." And so, yes, my technical aptitude really, got me intrigued by the underlying blockchain technology.
Now, were you,
and then
sorry to interrupt, but were you trading prior to? Were you in crypto market at all at this point? No.
Zero.
Okay. Gotcha.
None whatsoever. Yep. And so it really intrigued me. And then, I think that one of the things that I'm good at doing over the years, like, it's very, very rare that anything I've executed on was ever my idea. It hasn't been. One of the things that I think that I'm really good at doing is recognizing I could sit down with 10 people and they all have great ideas, and I'm good at saying, nope, this is the one that we should execute on. And so rarely are they my ideas. They're not. They're somebody else's. And so I spent a little bit of time with these guys and realized, all right, they're truly something kind of below the surface here. And what I did is I spent some time going, hey, I love the idea of this exchange. I think we need to pivot on the idea and find a niche within crypto, a niche within even this exchange. I don't know that you're going to want to go up against Coinbase and Binance and, I hate to say it, FTX, but
Right.
um, find a niche. And, when I talk about my prior company, it sold for 1.25 billion. That was just a niche within healthcare. It was one of the smallest niches within the healthcare ecosystem. Yet I was able to find this way to really build value. And so that's what we ended up doing at CoinLion. And with time, they're like, hey, how about you step in as CEO and just run this thing? And so that's what I've been doing since 2019.
Well, I mean, congratulations, especially on being able to kind of take the room, hear the audience, and say, listen, this is where the idea works. That is a special kind of leadership, because oftentimes I think people try to tackle all that stuff at once and usually miss the mark, and get caught up in pulled so many different directions. So when did do you currently trade? I'm still curious. How did you get into crypto? Like, what was, like, do you trade, or are you just, hey, listen, I liked these three guys? I mean, what was it?
Yeah, you know what it was, and part of understanding the ecosystem within crypto meant go explore different platforms.
Okay.
And there was a couple things that kind of resonated with me. One is how ridiculously hard it is to figure out how to trade in this crypto space. Like the UI, the user experience, the user interface is just horrible. Correct. Or at least it was in 2019. And I'm like, man, what? How is anybody going to figure this out? And so, the one thing I really wanted to tackle was just making this stupid simple. So if you go to our website, coinlion.com, you're going to see, hey, we're trying to just make this literally stupid simple, which also means we're not trying to do everything under the sun. Like some of these exchanges have, 200 to 300 different tokens, and it's laid out in a way that's super hard and confusing. And our goal is, hey, let's focus on a certain group. And so our target audience, honestly, is individuals that have, $25,000 to $100,000 of additional liquid capital that they want to put to work.
Okay.
So we're not chasing after your college kid that's scraping together like 2 nickels, and they're like, I want to get into trading, right? And that audience, they just want it simple. Hey, I want to put 50 grand into some crypto, and I want to make sure that I've got some downside protection, and I want this just to be super simple.
Now, would you say inside of that thought process, there's a group of, investment strategies? Would you call those advisors, like essentially you're copying someone else's investment strategy or following that? Is that kind of the concept?
That is, that's where we're at today. As I was just getting into trading in 2019, that isn't necessarily where we started.
Gotcha.
But that's where we are today, is this idea of following somebody else that does all kinds of sophisticated trading. So bear with me a second. Let me tell the story of how I got into this. As I'm exploring these different platforms, I realized how much volatility is happening within any given day. 2%, 5% swings, sometimes 10% swings.
Yeah.
And so in my geeked outness, I'm like, hey, I bet I could write some Python scripts that are basically going to do bot trading for me. Like I'm going to write the bot, it's going to buy and sell for me. And I started spending my time in that world. And that's what I brought back to the CoinLion guys. And I said, hey, I think this needs to be our niche, where we do automated trading. We're constantly kind of buying and selling throughout the day, looking for these swings. And then that's when we inserted the idea of having people follow you, because I knew that most users are not going to know how to like configure a script, write algorithms, like none of that stuff.
Right.
And so we really have two target audiences. We have one that is that sophisticated trader, could be a college kid, okay, that has 2 nickels, but we also have these individuals that are going to follow that sophisticated trader. And so in late 2019, early 2019, we started putting that together, got it live in late 2019, and that's the path we've been on.
No, I love it. So let's take a minute here. I kind of want to throw some things at you here. So when I look at some of these trading platforms, in my experience and other users' experiences, they seem to go down a lot at just the perfect times. There seems to be server upgrades, volatility. Do you sense that some of these platforms potentially, and this is a strong accusation, but do you sense some of these potential platforms don't necessarily either A, have the coins they're selling? They're selling, blue sky, and they're leveraging and hedging that. And then when the market makes volatile swings, a lot of server maintenance upgrades take place, or the system maintenance has to happen, or they're just servers crash in order to protect what they're selling and what they don't have.
I honestly think it's a number of factors. It's more than one.
Okay.
And so we're a young company, and as a young company, you're going to have some technical challenges. You are.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have those technical challenges. Okay.
Right.
And so I'm like, come on, really? Now, here's what I do know is that there are times where our server will get super loaded if we're like running really, really, really heavy tests.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so is there a chance when the market's swinging and everybody's supposed to be liquidating their position that their services, those microservices on their servers, crash? That could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think it happens sporadically? Yeah. Do I also believe there's times where they're like, no, press the stop button.
Correct.
Don't let anybody liquidate. Don't leave these positions. Yes, I also think that happens. Do I also believe that some of these exchanges have over leveraged any of their assets or their customers' assets?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they have. Do I also believe that in some scenarios they don't have the tokens that they should have? Yeah, I do believe that's the case. And so, CoinLion, we have there's one thing that I think is common in all of those scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
It's either, and I honestly think it's greed.
Sure.
And if you take crypto out and insert some other new technology, greed's still going to be there. Okay. Grab the banking system. You're going to find greed,
mm-hmm.
right? Like anytime that there's a massive fraudulent issue, greed is that underlying kind of item behind that. For me personally, I've realized the value of building a business that truly has value behind it. And you do everything, you play everything by the book. Okay. So we keep a 1-to-1 ratio on all of our assets. We always have, always will. We have never, literally never taken any of our customer funds and lent them out.
Mm-hmm. We've
never used them to actually, we've never taken our customers' assets that potentially don't move. We don't stake them to make profits. We haven't.
If you don't mind, will you back up and explain to the audience what staking means? I was getting ready to ask you that, but you jumped right into it there. Leveraging the assets of someone else to stake future earnings or coins that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, think of it like a CD, right? The idea of you go to your bank and you're like, hey, I've got my US dollars and I'm not going to touch them. I commit to you, I'm going to put them in this CD, and you're going to make a little bit of money as a consumer from that CD. The bank isn't just leaving those in a CD. They're taking those mm-hmm. and they're then going to leverage those. And they will make money, and then they'll give you a little bit of that money. And so,
correct.
Crypto is kind of the same thing, except it's being done on the blockchain. And they're most likely taking and lending that out, or they're leveraging those tokens like in a proof of staking concept where they're actually able to get compensated. But essentially it's like, hey, I'm going to I'm gonna leave these Ethereum tokens in one spot. I'm not gonna touch them. I'm gonna leave them there, like you would a CD, and you're gonna get compensated for it. Now, if I know as a business, I've got 2,000 Ethereum, 5,000 Ethereum that aren't moving at any point in time, greed would tell me, hey, listen, just go take those and stake them.
Right.
Start making some profits. And you know what? If we have to, we'll find some other Ethereum. We'll take Bobs and give them Bobs or something. And that's what a lot of these groups are doing because they're being driven by greed.
Sure. And I mean, you mentioned FTX earlier. We did a whole episode on that, not to get into it, but absolutely. And what you're kind of describing is what's happening across the platforms there. And I appreciate you kind of so eloquently describing staking and relating it to the banking system, because essentially deposits are staked as well, just in the form of lending out for mortgages or, whether you're buying long-term treasuries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The major difference I see right now in the crypto market is there seems to be this, and how do I say it? There seems to be this audience that wants to argue regulation would be great, and then another audience that's like, no, deregulate, like doesn't need to be there. What's your take on that?
Oh, we need regulation. We do.
Okay.
And so I'm the individual who's like, hey, some regulation is needed.
Okay.
Over regulation is bad. And I also think that no regulation is bad.
Okay.
No regulation just allows bad actors to walk in and just, pull in a China shop.
Okay.
And so I do believe regulation is good when it's done the right way.
Okay.
And so let me give an example. Today in the U.S., we have the SEC that's providing like zero guidance whatsoever. They're doing a horrible job.
Specifically in the crypto market, right?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, in the crypto space. Letting that, yeah. And they're just not.
Right.
And then they're also coming after exchanges, filing not necessarily lawsuits in every cases, but hey, putting them on their heels.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just a great example of poor leadership, poor style. Nobody wins from this whatsoever. Okay.
Agree 100%. Do you feel that that's intentional? Because I have a theory about why that's happening. I think that is intentional, what you're seeing with the SEC.
It's clearly intentional.
Right.
Right. And do I know what's driving that or who is driving that? No, I don't. But yeah, it's clearly intentional. I do think, the XRP case, the Ripple stuff, hopefully that comes out soon. And all of this can be put on display for everybody so we can truly see what's going on with the SEC. It will not bode well for them. And ultimately, I think that it's going to be put in the light.
So there's a lot of people that argue regulation isn't going to help this. I mean, you look at the banking system, it's overly regulated. The pendulum swung so tight the other way now with the administration that's in office, as well as the previous ones that were in office. There's really, it's almost suffocating. And some will argue that's not helping over there. I mean, there's a thought process. The regulation, let's take away the FDIC, let's take away the regulators from the FDIC, and then the FDIC insurance, right? If you were a depositor and you're going to a bank, you would probably do your due diligence and really observe that bank and check out their financials and are they worthy having my money? But we don't do that now. We choose a bank based on proximity because we're like, oh, it's FDIC insured. Who cares? I put my money anywhere else. But the customer service is pretty poor across the board. It's not great. And it's because it doesn't have to be. It's based on proximity, not based on service and legitimate financial records. And if things were chosen based on financial records and due diligence was done by the consumer, if they knew how to do it, there'd be a better experience for that customer. And we would probably have a lot less banks being as, risky as they were in some of their asset allocations based on those deposits. So some argue that that's exactly where crypto should be right now, is that the customer should be able to do their due diligence. But I think that, I think that also is the counter argument that they should be and they're not, so it's often a question of how much regulation, to your point. And, my theory about this is that you're watching the government, our government particularly, trying to get their hands on the blockchain. And, we have already seen indications of the Fed coin making its way into crypto. What is your thought on the Fed coin? And what is your thought on the government stepping in and, basically decentralizing the blockchain and using it for their own benefit?
Well, okay, so let's be clear. A Fed coin is different than FedNow.
Correct.
FedNow is a new service being introduced by the Federal Reserve, right? And I feel like there's a lot of people that are just like, yep, here it is. FedNow is a CBDC. You're like, no, it's not, right?
Right.
It's, in my opinion, FedNow is a much needed service that the Federal Reserve can help out with. Okay. So in our world today, when we are working with our liquidity partners and we need to move crypto, we're moving crypto throughout the day, throughout the week. On the weekend, we could have massive amounts of buys. And one of our liquidity partners may say, listen, we need to settle up. It's Saturday night, and we need you to wire us $2 million. Well, what am I going to do?
Yeah, you can't wire it through the Fed.
Yeah, you can't. And so the Federal Reserve has two services today. Fed ACH, which we just call an ACH.
Mm-hmm.
You got Fed Wire, which we just call it a wire. And then they're introducing FedNow, which allows you to use essentially those same services, but it's instantaneous, and you can run it 24 hours a day, 365. And so that's extremely helpful for businesses that are transacting on the weekends and need to settle up. But that is not a central bank digital coin.
Correct.
Right? And so will that come with time? Probably. Do I really think that that's going to be the primary way that people are going to transact? No, I think you're still going to have stable tokens. I think you're going to have other currency. And so, I don't, personally think, I don't get too worked up about a CBDC in the sense that the Fed can kind of probably see all of my transactions if they wanted to anyways.
Sure.
And I'll just use a different token. So, am I excited about, or would I throw up some red flags or stop signs if we're using China's CBDC in the U.S.? Well, yes, I definitely would, right?
Yes.
So, I don't know. I could have gone off topic there, but is that helpful?
No, it's super helpful. I mean, for me, the biggest thing I like to kind of learn from the insiders on this is that I think for the longest time, there was this resistance to the blockchain, its benefits from our own government, our own regulators. Now I think it's widely being researched and understood better to the point of adaptation is coming. And I think it's coming sooner than later. It doesn't mean that the paper currency itself will go away by any means, but I think it's going to be an addition to and allow you to subsequently not having to go to an ATM and go get that money. You'll be able to do it digitally from your phone and use it. We've already seen certain states where people are paying with crypto at just at their leisure. There's availability to do that everywhere. So the foundation is laid for that to happen. I think there's certain people / generations that will adopt that quicker and appreciate it. And then there's some that are going to resist it and be like, absolutely not. It's the government trying to control and see what I do. But to your point, they see it anyways at every potential chance they can on banking systems. So, there's always this, how can I say it, misnomer that there's so much illicit activity happening on the crypto chain. There's actually probably more in the U.S. banking system than there is in the crypto markets. But did you want to speak to that briefly here? Because that's one of the biggest knocks I hear people say about the crypto market is, that's where money's hiding, et cetera, et cetera.
No, I would disagree entirely. And, when people don't understand that crypto is way more traceable, they realize pretty quick, like if you were going to do illicit activity, you're going to start moving away from crypto because it is so traceable. And because they're like the FBI and the DOJ have done an amazing job of seizing crypto on things that happened years ago, and they're able to trace it all back. And let me just give you an example, right? So if somebody makes a deposit, somebody says, hey, I'm going to deposit 10 Ethereum into the CoinLion platform. We, as it's coming in, we're running that Ethereum against a company called Chainalysis. Chainalysis is a company that agencies around the world, government agencies around the world, private agencies, CoinLion use to validate and see, hey, has these Ethereum, this Bitcoin, has it ever been used for illicit purposes? Has it ever hit these websites? And so they're tracking all that. And if in the last 6 hops has ever been touched, it gets flagged in our system, instantly your account gets frozen. Okay? Show me where that's happening. If I walk into a bank with 10 grand and said it, you can't trace a $100 bill and know where it's been.
Not like that.
It's something crazy, like 80 or 90% of all U.S. currency has traces of cocaine on it. Help me understand how we really think the U.S. dollar is not used for illicit purposes. Oh, it absolutely is. So crypto is way more traceable, trackable than any other currency that we've ever had.
Do you you kind of just described the term dirty money right there when you said that. But do you believe that that crypto is more in line with gold than per se the USD at this point?
Well, I would say maybe Bitcoin has
Okay.
a stronger correlation, to gold than it does to the US dollar. Okay. But I can't say that all cryptocurrencies have a stronger correlation to gold.
Mainly Bitcoin because of the gold standard and the amount and the I guess the amount of Bitcoin that will be issued happens to represent the gold standard.
Yeah, in the sense that the supply and demand have some similar characteristics. They're not a straight 1-to-1, but the idea of there's a limited amount of gold that gets produced every year. There's a limited amount of Bitcoin that's getting created every year.
And Bitcoin will eventually, once it reaches its max capacity, as far as what the code says, there will be no more distributed, correct?
That is correct.
So,
Yeah. And in the gold world, it's like, hey, how much did we mine this year? And, honestly, in my mind, that's probably still controlled by man, though. It's humans that are
Sure.
like, hey, how much do we want to mine? We're going to slow it down. We're going to decrease production, which makes it more expensive. And then we'll go back and mine more next year when the price goes out. Like that can be monkeyed with, whereas Bitcoin can't. It's algorithmically built in. You can't change it. There's nobody who can mess with it.
So
you know exactly what production is going to be this year, next year, for
in years to come. So there's a lot of people that believe that this is imaginary money. This is or imaginary, thing. It's a fugazi. There's nothing there because they can't touch it, right? And they don't understand probably the cold storage aspect of that. They're just seeing the exchanges. What do you say to people that think this is just on the verge of collapsing? This is make believe. What's your rebuttal to that?
Well, I some days I think the U.S. dollar is on the brink of collapse, right? So it's like what in our world do we truly have any level of control over? If I go on to, if it's something I hold in my hands, okay, well, I'm going to go buy gold. And well, hang on. Am I going to buy gold that I hold in my hand? Because oftentimes you're buying gold on the NASDAQ or whatever, market you're going to choose from globally, right?
Right, as an ETF. Yep.
But they don't send it in the mail, right? And so you usually have this certificate, right? Well, now you've got a certificate in your hand. Well, what's that worth? Where's really the gold? And so there's a lot of things in our world that we don't get our hands on. My Delta Sky Miles, and those are very real. Why do I know that? Because I've cashed in miles to fly to London or Turks and Caicos, and it's very real. Can I hold those in my hand? No. Can I take those to the grocery store and buy my groceries? Well, no, I can't. But in this capacity, they're very real. So we live that out every day. And it's interesting because as humans, we'll make an argument against something such as crypto while we go and use our Delta Sky Mile points or credit card points.
That's a great point.
And we say I never want to live in a digital currency world as we Venmo our kids money, right?
Right.
Or I never do anything where the government can seize it. Well, you think the government can't seize your bank account and just literally shut it down? Oh, absolutely they can. They do it every day of the year.
Matter of seconds.
But we get all freaked out about, Bitcoin, where they might be able to trace that you're going to the grocery store to buy some bananas.
So that's a great analogy. I love how you said that because I think that that's a great point because I think we do psych ourselves out based on what other people may kind of infiltrate our thought process with, but that's a reality. I've often argued the Venmo, the Apple Pay, PayPal, et cetera, doesn't matter what it is. That's just an electronic payment. It's the exact same thing you're doing with, it's just not called Bitcoin, Ethereum, the list goes on. Yeah, but you're just doing it right there. And there's a platform that's operating on too. There's a conversion that's taking place for all that to happen. So people don't realize they've been doing this for quite some time, but they're very scared by crypto, and the unregulated portion kind of leads to some of the fear mongering that comes with it there. Let me kind of lead with this one here. I think this is interesting. How did FTX happen under the nose of so many people? Like, how does that take place? How does no one in the course of the time period, let's say 18 months, notice what's going on over there and not either A, speak up or not be caught by, some sort of outside source?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that were going on there. Like when I read, everything I can, it seems as though it was a frat house, running this business. And no offense to the frat houses, but
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
you're living life to its fullest. But you're not buttoning up all of the things that need to be buttoned up. You don't have all of the processes and policies in place that you need to. And so you're having fun, you're cutting corners. You're like, listen, like this is just straight up and to the right. Like we're just going to keep winning and keep winning and keep winning. And then, and this is where I think greed, like build things bigger, get as rich as possible. And when you don't say, all right, hang on, how do I prepare for that rainy day? What happens with our current strategy when the market goes sideways? Or when one of these or two of these tokens goes completely belly up and we've leveraged a lot of assets against it. Like when you don't prepare for that, man, you're going to get painted into a corner and be in a really bad spot, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And so there's a combination of things that happened there. The market tanked. I think that they did get, bit by the Terra Luna crash as well. And then you look at their internal policies, procedures, and how they leverage people's money and just the absolute poor decisions to do stuff. I mean, it all came crumbling down.
Yeah, I know. I think you described it real well, that there was a non-business sense running the ship over there, and that greed took over, and kind of really diversifying their risk and analyzing that, hey, this could go down as quick as it went up, as opposed to just running full speed up the entire time.
Yeah, and the FTX crew and the Alameda crew, like they should be held accountable for their absolute poor decisions. I'm also kind of baffled by the individuals that would wire money, right? Hey, I'm going to wire some money to FTX. Okay. So wait, hang on a second. You want me to send it to a different entity called Alameda Research?
Correct.
I'm going to send you $1 million or $10 million or whatever that number is. And I'm just going to put somebody else's name on that and not do a bunch of research. There was a lot of individuals that just went in blind with those wire transfers.
Right.
And maybe they were lied to, I don't know. But anytime somebody asked me to wire some funds and the name on the account is going to be different, that's an instant hang on here. I need to do some research on this first.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, do you think maybe because of some of the big names that were tied to FTX, it kind of got overlooked or endorsed, or just maybe, okay, yeah, this is what it is. They're doing it. I mean, I'm okay with it.
And that's where, as humans and consumers, we go into some of these things blind. We're like, oh, it's fine. Tom Brady's behind this thing, or insert whoever.
Right.
And it is interesting how greed on the consumer side too is like, hey, I just want to get in. Like everybody's crushing it here. I'm sure it's fine. If we don't pause and do the research we need to, it's a little bit like some of the banks you talked about. Silicon Valley Bank, going to be a great, case study for how many people just kind of kept putting money into a single bank that is so focused on one niche market. If that niche goes sideways, man, that bank's in trouble.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, I take a look at, this is something that I find kind of gets lost in the dark here, but FTX's collapse doesn't even scratch the surface of SVB, Signature Bank, and First Republic. It doesn't even come close. I mean, those are the 2, 3, 4 largest bank collapses in the history of the United States. So, I offer all of this woes of the financial markets because I want to come full circle here. CoinLion.
Yep.
This is why I love what you guys. This is why when I found out you were going to be on the show, I was like, wait a minute. I have never seen something where you have, let's call it financial advisors, for better lack of term for our audience, who have trading experience, but also have reputable experience tied with stop losses. That's the biggest thing I saw there, is that there's stop losses, and you have the ability to run that 365. Whereas these other companies are like, hey, you, Quentin, you're your own stop loss. Oh, and by the way, you have to sleep. So some things may go on while you're sleeping. And I don't know how you're going to stop loss that. And so I love this that you have. Plus, you offer someone brand new how to get into multiple sectors without having to really kill themselves researching what's great, or worse yet, taking someone else's advice to do their own trades.
No, I appreciate you bringing that all around. So we just talked about all the bad characters, the bad actors in both banking as well as in crypto. And so it's like, okay, well, what is CoinLion doing differently? Well, we're building a business like not based on speed. Okay, so you go back to my last company. It took 2 decades, 20 years to build. And every year I thought I would hear this story of some healthcare tech company that blew up overnight. They're worth $1 billion. Now I'm going to get left behind. And what I realized is no, okay, in crypto or in healthcare tech, whatever the sector is, okay, build value, take your time, do it right. And I did that. And I built an amazing company that I'm super proud of, and I'm doing it again. And so with CoinLion, are we just exploding overnight in growth? Nope, we're not. Am I focused on just building the business, like all of the pillars in place that we need to have for growth? Oh, absolutely. I look at how we verify users and do a KYC process to make sure we just keep all of the bad characters off. We're doing it the right way. And so the same thing goes with tokens. Like, how many tokens are on the platform? What? It's not hundreds. Okay. And the reason is there's a lot of just crap tokens out there. I don't know your audience, but try to keep it family friendly. They're called shit tokens for a reason.
That's correct.
And so like, we just don't have those on the platform. And so if you're looking for that, there's all kinds of platforms that can have that. We're looking to create stability so that your average person that's got $25,000 to $100,000 of liquid capital, they can put it here and be like, I don't have to worry about this being a crap token.
Yeah. And for our audience, I really want to break down. These are called stable tokens. And then you have alternative alt tokens. And then you have the crap tokens that you're referring to. And these crap tokens, think of, for our audience, if you saw the movie Wolf of Wall Street, these would be your pink sheet tokens. That's what he's talking about here. Your pink sheet tokens that have a huge rip, a huge commission, a huge upside, but really it's more of a downside. And the only person making money is the person selling it to you.
Correct. And then once you get on the platform and you're dealing with what I call our, the 10 biggest, most popular tokens, we do have stop losses where we're trying to create some downside protection there. Very real, very needed. And for what it's worth, we didn't have those implemented in our early days, and we didn't have it implemented the right way. So this has been one of our learning processes. And again, when you have a slower growth process, you're kind of chipping away at that stuff. It leaves you in a really good spot as you build a solid company.
What do you say to the people that are all about cold storage right now? That's where they've taken them off the exchanges, they're putting them on the side, and they think that's the end all be all. Because I love what you're doing here, because I've been observing crypto from afar now on the sidelines, and I see these 8-9% swings that could be, I almost wish I could time them, because if you compound that, my goodness, that's a great return on investment. And I'm watching it happen in this stable coin market.
There are some individuals that can totally work with cold storage, and that's they're going to be fine. They're not going to lose any of their info, but there is risk. There's significant risk with some of the cold storage. Ledger, and I haven't chased this down, but Ledger yesterday, supposedly they've got some backdoor exploit, some way for essentially, a spot you don't want to be in, something they've claimed for literally years, and then all of a sudden, hang on here, the story just changed. And so there's some uncertainty today on cold storage that you thought was like ridiculously secure. What we have is individuals who are like, hey, I forgot my password. I replaced, I can't find stuff all the time.
Right.
Can you help me restore stuff? And that's where a centralized, company and exchange like CoinLion is really helpful. You can call us up. We're going to verify your selfie. Your selfie is going to match that, who registered, and then we're going to reset your password. Like, it's really simple. And when we have all of our stuff sitting in a cold storage, we've got an amazing back-end technology partner, okay, So we didn't have to create this. We're using one of the best platforms in the crypto space. It's called Fireblocks. That's our back-end wallet system. Phenomenal. Like when we've got that, like we're set. You don't have to worry about that. Don't worry about an offline wallet, all that.
I think this is huge, and for people that are in crypto, you understand everything he's saying. For those of you that are thinking about this, this is the stuff that Eric you're sharing with us right now. I think is just so valuable because I get asked all the time, "What do you recommend? What do you recommend?" And I used to use a competitor. I'd say, "Go here, and here's why." The only and I would follow it with the only downside is you're not going to get anybody on the phone. They don't answer the phone.
Yep.
The fact that you're like, we will answer the phone, we can help with these things, that is huge because that doesn't happen in this space. And having that personal touch, I also think provides a security blanket to the audience and to people as well to know that there's someone they can talk to and there's some level of accountability there. And again, hats off on this platform. I think it's a really great one. I'm excited for you guys. And as soon as we get done here, I'm going to do a early audio release of this to my crypto circle of friends. And I'm like, hey, check this out because I know you guys aren't using this platform yet, and it's exciting. I think you got something really good going on there. How can our audience learn more about CoinLion? By the way, the verification process, I researched that. You guys have the easiest verification process of Binance, Coinbase. I mean, you name it. It's Phoenix. It's so much easier than all of those. I mean, it was really well done.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, CoinLion.com is going to be the best place to go to kind of learn about it. It's really easy to create an account. And you can create an account and kind of poke around before you make a deposit. And so feel free to do that. If you wanted to make a deposit and then make a withdrawal to be like, hey, can I actually get my money out? We've seen that because people are a little sketchy these days. They're like, okay, can I put in like 0.1 ETH and get that back out? Yes, you can certainly do, those kinds of, validation before you start playing.
Testing of the systems. Everybody seems to be testing the boundaries there. Well, Eric, I tell you what, so for our audience, what piece of advice can you offer today for someone that's currently in the crypto market and then a new user that's they're kind of leery, but they want to test it? What would be your advice to those two users?
Well, so first off, obviously create an account on our platform. And, I would tell people, take an approach where you buy and hold some crypto. Look for when the market moves down, get in when it's down. That's the hard part is like, man, I want to see it recover. So then people buy in at the high versus the low. Go create an account today. Go buy a little bit of Ethereum or some Bitcoin and then put some into an auto trader. So like I personally do both. I've got Bitcoin that I'm going to sit on and hold forever. And then I have my account where I'm actually trading on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage people to do both.
Yeah. I think that's I love those two. You just recommended Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like them both, believe in both of them. Great thing. And again, I mean, I'm going to go to CoinLion and start an account as well. I'm again very impressed. I can't recommend it enough. And just again, hats off. Fantastic job. And I want to end with something you said earlier because I wrote it down as fast as you said it. When you're operating a business, it doesn't matter if it's a crypto exchange, it doesn't matter if it's a real estate platform, it doesn't matter if it's an investment platform, a business. You said, build value, take your time, and do it right. That was clutch. Definitely loved it. Quote of the day. Thank you so much for your time. Guys, if you like what you're listening here, subscribe to our YouTube channel, 5-star review the podcast, share it. We'd love to hear from you, love to hear your feedback. This is how we develop episodes like this. Eric, thank you so much for your time today. It was an honor having you on the show today.
Thanks, Quentin.
Absolutely.
I got one more shot, I'm gonna make it. One more chance, I'm gonna take it. I meant it when I said it, now it's time for me to do it. I got one life to live, so I put them all into it, yeah.